My name is Khalil.
An overview
Admittedly.
let's just spicy for those coming soon.
This is Saban Doxy here with Purple Moose Media, and I'm here with Dr. Victor Lopez Jr. Can you tell us why you're here today, Dr. Lopez?
Thank you for the interview. I have to actually start off by saying thank you to everyone that got me here. We're here at the Barbados World Sevens Tour. The unique thing about it is that I'm here as the medical director for the Northeast Olympic Development Academy. They're a USA Rugby sanctioned development program as well as a USOC Community Olympic Development Program. Again, we couldn't have gotten to this level without the support of USA Rugby and USA Sevens. Having those great tournaments in the United States, giving us the beginnings of where we can provide or create an opportunity for players to arrive at this stage in their careers of rugby.
Now, you say it's a development program. How are you developing this program?
Thank you. We've been fortunate. What we do is we have our high school men and women, and then we have our adult men and women. Through the high school programs, we bring in or find candidate players that can potentially contribute to the program. Obviously, we find them at the tracking camps, various academies that are offering opportunities for high school players or players that have been exposed or experienced to the rugby sport early on. It gives them a little bit more edge when they have the opportunity to join a development program that allows them to get the resources that a normal American club rugby player does not have, which includes conditioning training, the opportunities of health care at a high level. There's also the coaching staff that's well versed in the sport, and so when you have all those together, you have a very unique combination for success.
Wonderful. And you were telling me about your injury prevention research. What has that been helpful to your coaching or involvement in rugby?
It's very nice. Thank you for asking. Started in about 2009, once the IOC was announced that Rugby Sevens would be in the Olympics, and we started collecting injury surveillance on the local area Union 7 series, and we published that in the American Journal of Sports Medicine. Then I said, why couldn't we do what the HSBC 7 series is doing? So we did it then in the Northeast. And then we continued in that level and took it even further. And now we attend 54 tournaments in the United States of the qualifiers that fall under the geographic unions or the competitive regions or territories. Of that, that data now has been yielding. In 2014, we were able to podium present for the first time at the American Orthopedic Society of Sports Medicine, which occurred in Seattle. I also attended the Ferndale Sevens tournament up there while I was there. But the unique thing about it is we were able to present some of the groundbreaking data that we had. We've been continuing to collecting that data and maturing it, and what we've noticed is that not only were we able to pull out of it subset analyses, but also furthermore biomechanics and analysis of what's occurring in the sport. So what can we, or what have I been able to contribute or find out what occurs in rugby? Well, in our population, American rugby overall, we're encountering our head and neck injury rates at almost 5 times more than our international HSBC 7 series. Now what we do is we look at how the mechanisms happen. Do the players impact torso? Do they hit in the hips? Are they actually wrapping properly? The issue comes down is that we found that our incidence rates continue to be that elevated from our pilot initial studies all the way through to now our 7-year data set, which I believe has been told is the largest data set currently in the world on rugby sevens. So much that this year, we've been very fortunate. We've been accepted to present now at the International Olympic Committee on Injury and Illness in Sport. That's going to be presented in Monaco. It's a very great honor for me, and I'm very humbled by it. But the unique thing about it is that they've accepted 4 of our topics to present out of very few presenters. and it only occurs every 4 years. So the unique thing about it is that data also yielded some of our findings. That is, through our under 19 analysis, our biomechanics analysis of contact and non-contact injuries, our analysis overall of U.S. women players and U.S. men players, and then obviously our concussion paper, which has taken on its own life. What is that many people want to find out what's occurring in the U.S. tournaments. So what I did was I took the analysis, the sub-analysis of all the tournaments we attended, and I looked at the different playing groups, evaluating national club levels, collegiate rugby championships, the Las Vegas Invitational, as well as the local and territorial Union 7 series. And we found out that our national players, you would expect, even though they're playing at a higher level of play, incorporating higher yielding teams that are involved in the United States, but they also are encountering this plague of head and neck injury rates, which also now causes the problem that of that subset we pulled out, and we found out the national club players are encountering the highest amount of concussions. So the difficulty comes down to is, how do we address this? Is it a player factor? Is it a mechanism factor? Is it a program system factor? And that's what we have to take into consideration. Again, we're now just pulling all our data sets together. We're presenting it at major conferences, and we're getting major feedback from luminaries in these areas. We've just brought on Dr. Robert Cantu. He's the concussion specialist out of Boston, based out of the Boston area with the CTE group, with the big concussion group that's been analyzing all the brain parts of different NFL players. But also we brought on Patria Hume. She is the research dean and director of the Sports Performance Research Institute in New Zealand, based out of Auckland. And again, she was fortunate to have presented at the IOC conference as well once before, and this year she just won the award for kinetics, and she's I think the second woman to win that award, the Dyson Award on the planet. Very unique opportunity. But again, we're bringing in these luminaries that can contribute to helping us analyze what's going on. How did it all start, and how did I get here? Well, I was very fortunate. I lived overseas and been overseas quite a bit. I was with in Norway at the Oslo Sports Trauma Research Center with Dr. Hendriksen and Dr. Rolf. They're the co-directors of the IOC Olympic conference, and I was able to learn a lot of what they were doing initially on injury surveillance and injury prevention. How do we get to injury prevention? It's a 4-step process. You look at what the injury rates are, you look at the incidents and the mechanisms, and then you come up with an injury prevention plan and then implement it. So uniquely, we're only at stage 1 and 2 of this, where we've actually gotten the data. Now we're starting to look at maybe an injury prevention plan. What do I see as the vision to maybe help American rugby players, or maybe help developing programs come along, which includes or incorporates outside of the established rugby nations, the United States, Mexico, or the Southern Hemisphere, aside from Argentina, or some of the rugby emerging markets. So some of the emerging markets now bring into the aspect that they need to develop strength and conditioning programs that incorporate proprioceptive. Obviously now with the large women's population is playing, the exposure of women overall, not formally exposed to a contact sport. Field hockey does have some of that, but I don't think at quite the level of what's counted at a rugby sevens match. So the unique thing now is that when you have this population, even emerging populations who've never played rugby before, if you think about it, we have 205 national Olympic committees and 117 established rugby nations that fall under world rugby. So there's 100 countries that could still create a program for rugby within their Olympic program. But do we have any injury prevention for that? I'm not certain if we can state that we do, but what I can say is we need to improve what we currently have. So for our American population, I would say that we need to curb our head and neck injury rates. Also in our data we found that reoccurring injuries occurred often. So basically maybe we're playing our players too often. Maybe we're not adhering to the return to play protocols that have been provided for us, the guidelines for medical and staffing. Maybe what we should also do is have a conditioning and strengthening program, as I stated before, proprioceptive. Because what we need to do is we need to make sure that the muscles are fired so we don't have so many ligamentous injuries that we also found in our data set. And I do think if we incorporate the three of those and maybe a training program as well as something with literature, maybe come up with an injury prevention plan that could be accepted or maybe passed on throughout the United States.
Well, we look forward to seeing your research being used out in the fields, and good luck to your team. Thank you
so much for your time.
Yes.
Thank you.